So it's time for another gardening week, and I have got a lot of pricking out and potting on to do today. So I'm not going to show you the whole process, but I'm going to kind of just take you through the highlights. So the first thing I'm doing are these leeks, and I'm taking them out of this pot here. It's my stock. So these are my early leeks, the ones that are going to grow under cover to start off with, and then get planted out, sort of interplanted basically wherever I've got spaces. And these are the ones we're going to be eating in summer. So these are celery, and yeah, they're fast growing summer leek. So there's the leeks, and the reason I've done them in these root trainers is because I used to plant them out in spring into my spring beds, sort of interplanted, and what I realised is that when I do that, they're in the way when I then want to clear those spring beds and replant them with the summer crops. So by leaving them in these root trainers until May time, when I'm actually replanting the beds for summer, then they always go in the right place and they won't be in the way when I'm doing the bed prep and all that sort of thing. So that's the leeks. So just sticking with the leeks for a minute, I won't actually do my main crop leeks until April time, you know, the ones that we're going to be eating in winter. But I will do another batch sometime in March, which the ones we'll be eating in autumn. So I do like to stagger my leeks. I find if I do them all at once, then there's a bigger chance that they'll go to seed or get disease or pest or something like that. And also, of course, you know, if you start them too early, you've got to plant them somewhere and they just tend to take up a lot of space. So now I'm on to my earliest tomatoes. So not very big at the moment, but I don't really want them very big because I can't plant them into their final pots until sometime in April, you know, maybe 5th, 10th of April, something like that. And so I'm going to pot them on into these pots, which are a bit big for them. But I really don't see myself potting them on twice between now and early April. So I think obviously they'll last in those pots until then. They've not got much of a root system on them at the moment, but you know, obviously tomatoes replant really well. So I'm going to get those done. So there's the tomatoes, looking quite nice. These are just little hanging basket varieties, and I've only got 6 hanging baskets, or space for 6 anyway, in the greenhouse. And as I say, they're going into the greenhouse, which will then be heated. It's not heated at the moment. Yeah, I'll heat it to somewhere around about 10 degrees centigrade, something like that. So yeah, they should give us a really nice little crop actually. I think that just 6 plants in hanging baskets, that should give us enough tomatoes for eating fresh for just Debbie and I through the week for a few months. So next I'm doing the celery. I've got red stem celery and I've got Utah, and I think I've got the labels mixed up because this one is meant to be the Utah and this one is meant to be the red stem, but actually if you look at it carefully, you know, actually it's probably that way around, see better, that this one looks like it's the red stem and that one looks like it's the Utah. So anyway, I'm going to pot those on into these 11 centimetre pots and get those planted out sometime in April, I'm guessing, into the polytunnel, when it's pretty easy to keep the polytunnel frost free with fleece, and celery really does need to be kept frost free, and that'll give us a nice early harvest in May. And yeah, that'll be the time that all the other celery, of course, has just about gone to seed. So it gives us a nice continuity. So there's the celery. It's about 7 weeks old now. You don't need, of course, a lot of celery when you're only picking it 1 stem at a time to eat fresh, and just using it basically as a cut and come again crop. And it works really well like that, and it lasts for many months. So certainly until our main crop celery is ready. So now I'm on to my peppers, and I'm actually going to do them in these big trays. I'll show you these in a minute. Little root trainers basically. And again, I kind of figure that I want to put these under grow lights, and these trays are a little bit more compact than the ones that I normally use, and they will almost certainly need potting on. So yeah, this, I think it's a good sized tray. It's a containerised tray. Anyway, I'm going to get on with these. So there's the peppers. So I've got 3 of these trays to do. And these are the plants that are going to go out under the low tunnels. I've got 3 low tunnels. I put 12 plants in each low tunnel. So I've got 36 plants and a few spares. And I'm going to plant those out towards the end of May. And I should, in theory, have another succession, but the germination of these has been so good that I don't think I'll do my late February succession. I'll just stick with these and see how we get on. So yeah, quite a nice selection of peppers there, sweet peppers. And the nice thing about the trays that I'm using for these sweet peppers is they've got these ribs in them. Hopefully you can see that, the ribs in there. And they act like root trainers. Well, they are root trainers. And so the result is that all the roots get directed down. They don't curl around, they get directed down to the bottom. And once they get to the bottom there, of course, they're in contact with the air. And so the air prune, which stops them growing. And new roots are then sent down. So you get a really strong root system and it's not pot bound. And the roots aren't all tangled up, they're nice and vertical. So that's the theory. We'll see how that works later. And actually you can kind of see that in action in these little celery plants, which are also grown with similar sort of root training mechanisms in place in the pots. And you can see a lot of roots just going nice and sort of vertically down and sort of terminating at the bottom. So not a perfect example, but good enough. And then finally, I'm just going to do a few potatoes. So my earliest potatoes, well, I done in these bigger pots like this, but once I've got a month or so supply in that size, I'll switch to this size, and obviously they get potted on into bigger pots later. So these are the potatoes I'm putting in. These are swift, and yeah, that's plenty well chitted enough. Especially if you just bring them inside the house for about 10 days, and that really accelerates the growth. So I've done 12 potatoes like this, and they'll get transplanted to a pot in, I don't know, 10, 15 days time, something like that. The reason I do it like this is partly space. Just doesn't take up very much space to start them in a tray like this and get them off to a really good start. And the second one is time, because these are determinate, they'll die after a set period of time. So in case of the Charlotte, what have we got here? Yeah, the Charlottes, they're roughly 120 days. The Swift are sort of 75 days. And so you want them really to be growing vigorously for all of that 75 days. If you want a good size and a good yield. So you know, if they're starting growing and then growing very, very slowly for the first month or so, then you won't get anywhere near as good a yield as if they're basically good breaking surface after 15 days and growing vigorously thereafter. So one of my most popular videos is a review of all the different containerised trays. And this is the one, this is my favourite. So this is the 40 cell tray, just a standard one, predates all the celebrity endorsements from Charles Dowding and Hugh Richards, etc. This is the Hugh Richards tray, and it's nice and convenient because it's only got 20 cells in it. But the problem is with this tray, it's got this big rib down the middle, and as a result of that, it doesn't stack with this tray. It doesn't fit, you can't fit 2 of them into a standard gravel drip tray. So it's really inconvenient from a storage and density point of view, but it's convenient from the perspective that it's only got 20 cells. So what I thought I'd try was just cutting this 20 cell tray in half, and it worked pretty well. So that side comes out really clean. And obviously one side, no matter how careful you are really, you lose a little bit of it. And so I just put a little bit of tape on here and sealed that tape off there as well. And I think that makes a passable tray. Now you might think, why bother doing that? I mean, partly, as I said, just because it stacks really nicely now, 2 of them fit together in a standard drip tray. That's really convenient. But it's also just a pricing issue. That tray is £6 something, and that tray is £7 something. So, you know, even if you lost one strip down there of modules, you're still, you know, basically getting 2 for the price of 1. So I actually think it's worth considering doing that. You know, if it doesn't work out for you, don't blame me. But anyway, I think that's what I'll do. I won't be buying any more of the Hugh Richards trays. I'll just be cutting down these standard 40 cell trays. And obviously Charles Downing does one as well. I don't like that one. I find it's too small, the modules are too small, plants don't hold in it for long enough. But some people have had good results with it. And if you want to see the full review, then take a look down below in the description. I'll link to it there. So I thought I'd just show you where I'm chitting all my potatoes. So these are the Jazzy. I'm quite a way through those. The Swift I've almost finished with now. I've got the Charlottes here. And then these are the main crops down there. I've not even bothered taking those out of the bags yet. These are, you know, they're not even starting to sprout. So no point chitting those. And then down here, this is the fruits of today's labour. Quite a few potatoes and seedlings down there. Most of those now need to go into the house, apart from the leeks, basically, I think is pretty much everything. And I might just put some of that celery in the greenhouse as well, just to compare how well it does with the few extra ones that I potted up down there. Oh, just taking the fleece off these broad beans and the low tunnel that was over them, and they are in a real ragged mess. This is so sluggy, and like everything else on this allotment plot this year or last year, everything has been really devastated by slugs. But I think they'll pull through it. I mean, broad beans are incredibly resilient. They'll grow through it, and we should have some nice new growth, and plants should be looking strong by the end of March. These down here are the field beans, and I think I'll just give them a few more weeks to get well established, and I'm going to cut all of the tops off them and let the new shoots grow through, because obviously nothing on there really is of eating quality at the moment. But yeah, got it just in time, I think. And there's loads of ways to support broad beans, but I actually like individual canes the best. You do need to keep an eye on them though, because obviously they throw up multiple shoots, so you need to keep on tying them in, otherwise you'll end up with some shoots not well supported. And in a windy location like this, support is necessary. And I've moved the net over this bed, which has just got a few straggly salad onions left in it, and they'll probably all be harvested next week. I'm not quite sure what to do with this bed. I normally would put some of my kales in here, some of my early kales. I'll show you those now, actually. They're just in the polytunnel waiting to be planted out. But just, it's a slug problem again. This bed last year was so badly infested with slugs. I think they'll just be decimated if I plant them out in here. So I'm a bit unsure really what to do with this, but time will tell. And now I'm in the lovely warm polytunnel, and I need it because it was pretty cold last night, and it's actually pretty cold today. I've just come back from a long cycle ride actually, and you know, it was quite a chilly one. Anyway, I'm just going to take all of these Asian greens out now, all the ones that don't have any decent leaf left on them, which is most of them. And that all looks a bit neater. These calabrese are growing on quite nicely. I was tempted to try and squeeze some more calabrese in, but actually I think I'll leave them and just give them as much space as I can, and that'll maximise my side shoot harvest off them, I think. I'll probably put some radish down the front edge there as well. These radish are ready for harvest now, so I might put some more down here as well on this side. They might just have enough time to grow to maturity before the calabrese completely shade them out. I've arrived at the end of another very, very rainy week. and just rushed around this morning whilst there was just a very short period of dry weather. We even got a little bit of sunshine while we were doing the harvest. And it's a little one because I've got some people away on holiday this week, so I'll just fly through this. So not picked very many brassicas, so I've just got colettes and colette tops and more colettes and that beautiful little selection of new season kale leaves. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm saving that one for myself. And Brussels sprouts and beetroot and garlic and onions from the store. And actually, with a lot of the garlic now is finishing. You know, we find it doesn't really keep very well after March. But we'll very soon have green garlic. It's all coming on really nicely outside in the kitchen garden. So hopefully by the time the garlic is completely kind of desiccated, we'll switch over to that. We could freeze some as well, but we just love green garlic, to be honest, and we're very happy to switch over to that. We've got loads of leeks, just a few parsnips left. And I think that's really the main significant sort of harvest of Brussels sprouts. So I've got a few scrappy ones left, which I might pick. I probably will pick, but anyway, not this week. Purple sprouting broccoli, of course, at this time of year, fantastic. And I've got 2 different varieties, so I'm hoping that when this one finishes, the next one will sort of kick in and give us purple sprouting broccoli up until the point at which we've got calabrese and cauliflowers. And carrots and potatoes out of the tubs and spinach. We've got a lot of spinach. I didn't pick very much of it. And the first pick of the radish. So I was really pleased with these actually. They're looking really nice. And I've made up all of the salad mixes. Apart from, I've just got to add those radishes, and I just wanted to save this, which is the second pick, but the first real pick of the Asian greens. So I took all the Asian greens out, the old ones overwintered this week. So it's really nice to have a decent harvest again, at least for the salads, of Asian greens again. So I managed it last year, managed it again. I think I could do slightly better with my successional planning of Asian greens, but I did okay. And the lettuces are pretty, I think I've got one more pick probably of the overwintered lettuces, and then my new season lettuces will be ready. And I am really looking forward to new season lettuces, I can tell you. So I think that's it. I'm done. My name's Steve. This is the Seaside Kitchen Garden and Allotment channel, and I'll see you soon.